a celebrity. I just bled all over his bed. Hey you guys, it's Channon Rose, and today I'm going to be telling you my most embarrassing period story. It is really embarrassing. So this story happened years ago. Back then, we never had apps, you know, the apps that you can download on your phone to keep track of your period and let you know like when it's coming and all that stuff. Thankfully, we have that today. Every girl should have that app on their phone so that they don't have these awful stories or get embarrassed by their period, because it's something that every girl gets and it can really be embarrassing. I'll show you the app that I use really quickly. It's free. It's called Clue. It looks like this. It's this app right here, and if you click on it, you can see it basically keeps track of your period and lets you know when your fertile window is. So if you're trying to get pregnant, you will know when that is, or if you're trying to not get pregnant, you will also know when that is. And then it also lets you know when you're PMSing. It even can send you reminders to take your pill. I've been using it to try to help me get pregnant and also to just keep track of when my period's gonna be. This app has been super useful to me and it's free, so you know, you can't really go wrong there. I definitely think every girl should have this app because you should know when your period's gonna be so you don't have embarrassing stories like I'm about to tell you right now. So this happened years ago. When I was younger, I had watched a movie. I'm not going to say which one because I don't want you guys to know the exact person I'm talking about. I had the biggest crush on the guy that was in this movie. Ever since I saw this movie, I was like, oh my god, he's so dreamy. Like, literally, the biggest crush. And ever since that movie, he was always like my favorite crush. I thought he was like the hottest guy ever. One night, we're out at a club, me and my girlfriend, and we're dancing and having a good time. So we get home from the club. Nothing like crazy happened there. We are in bed and we turn the TV on and this movie comes on, and I tell my friend that I'm with that's watching the movie with me, I'm like, oh my god, I've had a crush on this guy since this movie first came out. And she's like, no way. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, he was asking about you at the club. And I was like, what? I had no idea that this guy was even at this club. And I'm like, how come you didn't say anything? And she's like, well, I was mad that he wasn't interested in me. And I was like, oh my god, Natty, like, are you serious? Did you get his phone number? And she's like, yeah, I got his phone number. And I'm like, you better text him and let him know like we want to hang out tomorrow night. And she's like, okay, fine. And she was like so bitter because she like thought he was hot and you know, whatever. He was just like, who's your friend? And I guess she didn't realize like I had a big crush on him. But once she realized, she was like, thought it was so funny because no joke, that same night he was like, who's your friend? Make a long story short, we ended up hanging out with him and we actually started dating. It was awesome. So I was so excited. I had hung out with him. He was like so sweet and so cool and so freaking hot. So this is where the embarrassing story starts to come in. It was my second time spending the night at his house. If you knew me back in the day, I was like, you know, I drank a lot, whatever, and I had gotten drunk with him and I had fallen asleep in his bed with him and I was butt ass naked. I was like my purse with me. He had his car, so I didn't even have my car there. So I wake up in the morning and he's still asleep. And I feel like something really wet down there. And I was like, what the hell? Like, what is that? I know this is probably like TMI, but I was like, did we have sex? And did he come inside of me? And it's like out. I'm like, I would think it would have dried by then. This was like going through my mind. I know it's like so gross, you guys. I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to be truthful here. So I like go to get up to go to the bathroom and I look down and I realized that I had started my period. Oh my god, this isn't happening. This isn't happening to me. Like, please let this be a nightmare. It wasn't a nightmare, you guys. It was real life. I had started my period all over his like white expensive sheets. I didn't have tampons. I didn't even know I was starting my period. I was so careless back then. Like, I didn't keep track of that stuff. Didn't have apps like Clue to help me keep track of that stuff. I was mortified. I was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? Super slut that I wasn't wearing underwear with my dress that night, so I didn't have any underwear to be able to like, you know, put a bunch of toilet paper and wrap it up and like, you know, put it in my underwear to like stop the bleeding. I was just completely just concerned with, oh my god, how am I gonna stop this bleeding? I know I don't have any tampons in my purse and I don't have any underwear. Still mortified that that had happened. I had no idea that when I lifted the sheets up, I'm not even joking, you guys, there was blood everywhere. It looked like I had been murdered in his bed. There was blood all over. It wasn't just on one spot. When I sleep, I kind of move around a bit. So there was like blood here and then like smeared over. And then over here, there was like another spot. And if that wasn't bad enough, he had woken up and I'm like, I am like so embarrassed. I don't even know what to say to you right now. But I started my period in your bed last night and there's blood all over your sheets. And he was just like, oh. I literally have never probably been so embarrassed in my life, but it gets worse, you guys. It gets way worse. So he's like, that's all right. So he goes to get up out of bed. He's also naked, by the way. And I had been like snuggling, cuddling with him. And you guys, this whole part of his leg right here had my period blood, dried period blood all over his leg. When you think it couldn't get any worse, I was dying, you guys. I was freaking dying. This is like one of my biggest crushes of all time. He's a celebrity. I just bled all over his bed. I was literally so embarrassed. I'm like, this guy's never gonna talk to me again. He's literally going to delete my phone number out of his phone as soon as he has to drop me off at home. That was probably even more uncomfortable, but I didn't have my car to like leave. I had to sit in the car with him the whole way home, which was like probably a 30-minute drive from his house to my house in the valley because he lived over the hill. I just kept telling him, I'm so sorry. I will send you new sheets. I felt so bad. He's like, and he was so sweet and so cool about it. And he was like, Shannon, he's like, relax. It's not a big deal. Like, it was an accident. It's really not a big deal. Don't even worry about it. And I was just like, he sounds like he's like so cool with it, but in my mind, like he was probably just thinking like this gross ass bitch just fucking bled all over my bed and all over my leg. Thankfully, we still talked after that. We still like dated for a while. So I know that even though I bled all over his bed and his leg, that he still liked me, which was pretty surprising because I'll tell you what, if I was a guy and a girl did that to me, I'd be pretty freaking grossed out. He was just so cool about it. But yeah, that was probably one of my most embarrassing period stories. I have other ones, but that one was probably the worst. It just makes me so like embarrassed just to think about it. I'm like sweating talking about this right now because like I have to relive my like embarrassing moment in front of like seriously one of the hottest guys that I think exists in this world, besides my husband, of course. But this was way before I met my husband. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this crazy story. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up if you want to see more videos like this one. I love you guys all so much. I'm sending you all my love and all my positive energy, and I hope to see you in my next video. Don't bleed all over boys and sheets.